The Fall of America, Trump's second term and the echoes of Rome's collapse. The United States stands at a precipice, its once unassailable dominance fraying under the weight of internal discord, economic strain, and a political landscape warped by the re-election of Donald Trump in 2024. As the nation enters this second chapter of Trump's presidency on March 10, 2025, the parallels with the decline of the Roman Empire grow stark and unsettling. Rome, too, crumbled not from a single external blow but from a slow rot within, its institutions eroded, its people divided, and its leaders consumed by ambition over duty. In this dark mirror, America's unraveling reveals a self-inflicted wound, a nation tearing itself apart through hubris, polarization, and a refusal to confront its own decay. Rome's fall, traditionally dated to 476 CE with the deposition of Romulus Augustulus, was less a sudden collapse than a prolonged disintegration. The Western Roman Empire succumbed to economic stagnation, overextended military commitments, and a fractured social fabric, all exacerbated by leaders who prioritized personal power over collective stability. Today, the American empire, defined not just by its territorial reach but by its global cultural, economic, and military hegemony, mirrors this trajectory. The re-election of Donald Trump, a figure who thrives on division and spectacle, underscores a deeper malaise, a republic hollowed out by distrust, inequality, and a rejection of the common good. Now before we move on, please help a small channel grow. Please like and subscribe. If you have any comments, good or bad, leave them below. Back to the story. Economically, Rome's decline was marked by rampant inflation, heavy taxation, and a reliance on imported goods as domestic production withered. The empire's currency, debased through the dilution of precious metals, lost value, eroding the trust of its citizens and trading partners alike. In the US, the parallels are chilling. Decades of wage stagnation, a ballooning national debt, approaching $35 trillion by 2025, and a wealth gap reminiscent of Rome's patrician plebeian divide have weakened the economic foundation. Trump's second term promises tax cuts for the elite and deregulation, policies that may juice short-term gains but deepen long-term fragility. The wealth pump, siphoning prosperity from the working class to the ultra-rich, echoes Rome's late-stage excess, where senators hoarded estates while the masses relied on subsidized grain. Inflation, unchecked by a gridlocked Congress, gnaws at the purchasing power of ordinary Americans, fostering resentment that festers unchecked. Militarily, Rome's overreach strained its coffers and left its borders porous. Endless campaigns in Germania and Parthia drained resources, while barbarian incursions exploited weakened defenses. The US, too, has stretched itself thin, with military bases spanning the globe and interventions in Iraq, Afghanistan, and beyond costing trillions. Trump's rhetoric of America First promises retrenchment, yet his administration's bellicose stance, threatening trade wars with China or saber-rattling over Taiwan, risks escalating tensions without the resources to sustain them. The Pentagon's budget, hovering near $900 billion annually, diverts funds from crumbling infrastructure and social programs, mirroring Rome's prioritization of legions over aqueducts. Meanwhile, the southern border, a flashpoint in Trump's campaigns, remains a symbol of vulnerability, less to external invaders than to the internal failure to forge a coherent immigration policy. Politically, Rome's republic gave way to empire through the erosion of norms and the rise of autocrats. Julius Caesar's crossing of the Rubicon in 49 BCE marked a point of no return, but it was Augustus who cemented the shift, cloaking dictatorship in the trappings of republican tradition. Trump, while no Caesar in military prowess, shares a populist streak that thrives on upending convention. His refusal to concede the 2020 election, culminating in the January 6, 2021, Capitol riot, and his pardons of its perpetrators in 2025, signal a disdain for democratic guardrails. The Republican Party's transformation into a personalist vehicle, coupled with a Supreme Court tilted by his appointees, echoes Rome's Senate bending to imperial will. Democrats, meanwhile, oscillate between ineffectual resistance and adopting Trump's own divisive tactics, much as Rome's Optimates and Populares traded blows until the Republic bled out. Socially, the American empire frays as Rome did, through division and disillusionment. Rome's late empire saw a widening chasm between urban elites and rural poor, compounded by the influx of barbarians that stoked nativist fears. In the US, cultural fault lines, race, class, religion, have deepened under Trump's tenure. His rhetoric amplifies an us versus them mentality, casting immigrants, liberals, and the media as existential threats. The 2020 George Floyd protests and subsequent backlash laid bare a nation at war with itself, a fracture Trump exploits rather than heals. Like Rome's bread and circuses, American distraction comes via endless media cycles and consumer excess, numbing citizens to the slow collapse of civic trust. Life expectancy, declining since 2014, reflects a deeper immiseration, a shadow of Rome's plague-ravaged final centuries. The dark heart of America's self-destruction lies in its refusal to reckon with these parallels. Rome's leaders, blinded by grandeur, ignored the rot until invaders sacked the city. Trump, a symptom of this denial, embodies a nation clinging to delusions of exceptionalism while its pillars crumble. His second term, buoyed by counter-elites like Elon Musk and J.D. Vance, promises disruption over repair, a gamble that could hasten decline. The institutions meant to check him, Congress, the judiciary, the press, stand weakened, co-opted, or vilified, much as Rome's Senate withered under Domitian's glare. The electorate, exhausted by polarization, swings between apathy and rage, unable to muster the unity that might stave off collapse. Yet Rome's fall was not inevitable until it was. The Eastern Empire endured as Byzantium, adapting where the West could not. America, too, might pivot, if it confronts its internal decay with humility rather than bravado. Trump's reign, like Nero's, may end in chaos, but the empire's fate rests on what follows. In this shadowed hour, the US teeters between renewal and ruin, its destiny unwritten but ominously familiar. Please like and subscribe.